95 Not Out by Marie Nevin of Cranebrook, 2749. Narrated by Janine Penfold. I was born in 1929 in Marrickville. My parents divorced when I was 9, and I went to live with my grandmother. I remember while driving there, the bottle-o would come down the street in a horse and cart calling, "Bottle-o! Bottle-o!" He was collecting bottles, and children would run out and give him what they had. I also remember a man would come down the street in a horse and sulky, selling clothesline props. Wooden poles used to keep the clotheslines up off the ground when full of wet clothes. In 1940, when I was 11, I went to boarding school at Five Dock. During the holidays, I would either go home to my mother or go and visit my school friend's family who lived in Wilcannia. We would catch the train from Sydney Central to Nyngan, then from there the mail cart to Wilcannia, then finally another mail cart to Wilcannia. I remember the mosquitoes would drive you crazy on the trip that took 12 hours. When I left school in 1945 at 16, I had a job working in the Sydney CBD as an office clerk. When the soldiers came home from World War II, we all stopped work and went to welcome them back at the parade through the streets of Sydney. It was very exciting, and along with some other girls, I jumped on the back of an army truck and went into the city for a ride with the soldiers. When I was married in 1951, weddings and wedding gifts were much simpler. Gifts were mainly household items such as toasters, kettles, plates and dishes, and irons. There were no big celebrations like today. I had a simple wedding breakfast, then caught the train to Jervis Bay for a 2-week honeymoon. I didn't have a washing machine. To wash the clothes, they would be scrubbed on a washboard, then placed in a copper tub, a big metal tub, and lit, a fire underneath. The clothes would be boiled up, then rinsed in cold water. We also didn't have a refrigerator. Instead, we had an ice chest. Once a week, a man would come and bring a block of ice to keep the food cold for the next week. Paper, bread and milk were all delivered daily to the house. And all my grocery shopping was done at the corner shop. You would just get what you needed for that day, like a cup of flour or sugar. The postman would walk around the neighbourhood delivering the mail. You would know him by name and often invite him into the house for a drink of water or a cup of tea. There was no home telephone or mobiles. You would go to the local public telephone to make a phone call. It cost 1 penny. When we moved to Revesby in 1960, we had a telephone installed at home for the first time. We didn't have a television unit until 1963. All our news and entertainment were received from the radio. I was kept very busy with 8 children and a sick husband to look after, as well as working part-time. We would go out on a lot of picnics with friends and visit family, and when we bought takeaway, it was fish and chips or hamburgers. Up until 1984, the shops would close at midday Saturday and remain closed all day Sunday. I am now 95 years old. I like to go out and have coffee and cake with my children and grandchildren. I have 34 grandchildren, 40 great-grandchildren, with another on the way, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. I am thankful for having a mobile phone, as it keeps me in touch with them all, no matter where they are in the world. I can even use FaceTime, something I never thought I would be doing. I have an iPad, which I use every day, playing word games to keep my mind active. One of the most frustrating things for me today is when I make a call to a bank or other company. I must be prepared not to talk to someone straight away, but that I need to press a button and a robot will tell me to hold on. It takes quite a long time to get through to talk to a person. Back in December 2024, I had a fall, breaking my hip, and was hospitalised for 7 weeks. The table has turned for me now. Instead of me caring for my children and them being dependent on me, I live with my daughter and son-in-law, and I depend on them to care for me. I have lost a lot of independence in my daily life, but I am still able to look forward to going out once a week with a friend for lunch and a chat at a local club. I feel privileged to have lived to this old age, to still have my mental awareness, and to have seen so many changes to how life is lived. They say, for the better. The end.